Hey guys, what's going on? It's MJ's Masterclass and I'm coming to you from MassiveJoes.com. Guys, welcome back to my kitchen. Welcome back. Gonna hit you with a real simple recipe in MJ's Masterclass. It's gonna change the way that you think about sweet potatoes and clean carbohydrates. Man, it's my baked cinnamon sweet potato recipe. All right, so real simple recipe. Before we get started, man, gotta give a big shout out to my boy Mark Lobline over in North Carolina, man. This recipe actually was given to me by Mark. It's the way he does his sweet potatoes. Of course, I gotta throw a MassiveJoes twist on it as well, man, but the foundation of this comes from Mark Lobline, and make sure you check out his YouTube channel, man. Now, let's get straight to it. What are you gonna need for this recipe? Look, it's a real simple recipe. It is gonna take some time to cook just because you're baking your sweet potato, you're gonna chuck them in the oven for a while. But the actual preparation is real simple, man. So you're gonna get yourself a good baking tray, something like this. It's gonna allow you to put your sweet potato in there. You're gonna need yourself a bunch of cinnamon. You're gonna need yourself some non-stick cooking spray. So I like to use extra virgin olive oil cooking spray. Man, try and use an olive oil cooking spray because the fats that you're gonna get from them are gonna be good unsaturated fats. So some of that. Get yourself some nice big sweet potatoes like this, man, and make sure they're clean. So I've already cleaned these. I've got a brush, chuck them in the sink and give them a nice good scrub. So that's why they don't have all the dirty, typical color of a sweet potato you're used to. So grab yourself a bunch of those. You got yourself a cutting board down here. Get yourself a nice knife so you can cut those sweet potatoes up. Got to get yourself, of course, some outfall, right? Because this is gonna really allow you to cook these sweet potatoes all the way through. Last but not least, man, got to get yourself some amino acids, especially because you're gonna be waiting a while for these sweet potatoes cook in the oven, man. Got to make sure you're anabolic the whole time. All right, let's get straight into it. So the first thing you're gonna do, you're gonna get your outfall, and then you're gonna get your baking tray. What you're gonna do is you're gonna use outfall to just line that baking tray. That's the first thing you're gonna do. Get yourself some nice outfall going on in there, and then just line that baking tray with outfall like that. So try and cover the whole thing if you can. You should be able to with outfall, just like that. Then you're gonna grab your cooking spray, give it a nice shake up, and you're gonna spray the bottom of this paper. Now what this is gonna do is it's gonna make sure the sweet potato doesn't stick to your outfall or your baking tray. So give it a nice spray. Give it a nice even coating. Now of course it is olive oil, so there is gonna be a little bit of fat in there, man, but you're spraying such a small layer, it's probably not even gonna contribute to the calorie content of this recipe. So there you go, your tray's good to go at that point. And then come back over here, back to your cutting board, and start cutting these sweet potatoes up. Now, there is a little trick to this, right? This is really where this recipe is make or break. What you want to be able to do is cut your sweet potatoes into like inch thick slices and lay them face down in your baking tray. So let me get straight to it. Cut the ends off your sweet potato, those little bits that no one really likes. They've been oxidized. Then what you're gonna do is cut your sweet potato in about 1 inch thick segments. So just cut all the way down like that. Yourself some nice 1 inch segments in that sweet potato. All right, so you're looking for about 1 inch thickness. So about that thick in there, just like that. About that thick in there, just like that. Now go through like that and cut up all your sweet potatoes about the same. So that's the first one done. I'm gonna get into my second sweet potato here. Cut that one up exactly the same. So your inch thick segments, just like that. And then the last sweet potato over here. Make sure you don't cut yourself doing this, man. We might even have to put a disclaimer on this. I don't want no one cutting their fingers off with these big knives and these sweet potatoes, man. Get in there. It's a nice 1 inch thick. So just like that, your sweet potato is good to go. Once again, just so you know the thickness, it looks exactly like that. All right, so you cut up your sweet potato. Now, before you put your sweet potato in your baking tray, you want to grab your cinnamon, put your first layer of cinnamon. So you're gonna use a lot of cinnamon, right? Just don't worry about putting too much cinnamon. It's a spice. It's not gonna contribute to the calories of this recipe whatsoever. And if you're thinking that it's gonna over spice and overpower the sweet potato, just not gonna happen, man. I've used a whole tub of these in one baking tray, still didn't overpower the sweet potato. So with your cinnamon, just give it a tap on the back and make sure you get a really good nice coating on that outfall. All right. So there you go. Make sure the outfall is completely covered. So it's going to look a little bit like that. It's got your outfall, you got your non-cooked, non-stick spray, and then you got your cinnamon on top. Then what you're going to do is you're going to grab your inch thick slices of sweet potato. You're going to put them face down in the baking tray. So when I say face down, I don't mean on the edges, I mean face down like that. So grab as many pieces as you can and just line up your baking tray just like that. Try and get as much contact with the cinnamon as you can as well. So what's going to happen, you know, the kind of theory behind this recipe is the natural sugars in the sweet potato are going to kind of combine with the cinnamon and give you this sweet cinnamon delicious, I don't even know a word to explain it. Let's just call it delicious ecstasy of a clean carbohydrate source. So there you go. So just like that. So I've got as many pieces of sweet potato as I can get in there. Then you're just going to repeat the process that you did on the bottom. So grab your non-stick spray once again, and then just spray the tops of your sweet potatoes. So get a real nice coating on the top of the sweet potatoes, just like that. Then once again, grab your cinnamon and completely coat the tops of your sweet potatoes. Now the trick to this recipe is, I told you to put the sweet potatoes face down. It's very important. If you put them down on the edges where the skin is in contact with the cinnamon and the oil, the cinnamon isn't going to sink into the sweet potato. It's not going to be able to ferment with those natural sugars in the sweet potato, so it's not going to be as nice. So you want contact with the olive oil and the cinnamon on parts of the sweet potato that don't have skin on them. So parts of the sweet potato that are open, and that's why I say to put them face down in there. So get yourself a nice coating of cinnamon in there, just like that. So you've gone, with your sweet potato, you've gone oil and then cinnamon on top. Then you're gonna grab your outfall again and do exactly the same thing. So you're really gonna lock in the sweet potatoes in here. You're gonna lock the heat in. So you might need actually 2 lots of outfall on the top, just to really make sure that there's no way any of that heat can escape. So I'm gonna do a couple of bits of outfall on the top here. And look, Glad has just let me know I'm approaching the end of my outfall. Thank you, Glad, for being so considerate for the viewers at home. There we go. So lock it down like that. So that's nice. So there you go. You got your baking tray. The sweet potato is good to go in there. Now, you're gonna have to preheat your oven to 220 degrees. That's Australian. For all the American viewers, 220 degrees is about, man, I don't even know. My oven doesn't even say. Google it. Figure out Google from centigrade to Fahrenheit and figure out the American version. Australian version, 220 degrees, right? Preheat your oven. So that means turn the switch on, turn the oven on, wait for the light to go out that tells you that the oven is preheated. Once that light goes out, come over here, bust open your oven, grab your tray of cinnamon sweet potatoes, pop that straight in. Close the oven up. Now it's gonna take, depending on how good your oven is, it's gonna take anywhere between an hour to about an hour and 20 minutes in there. So if you got yourself a good fan-forced oven, probably no more than an hour. If you don't have a fan-forced oven or your oven is old and just doesn't work very well, probably an hour and a half. But what I recommend is put it in, put the timer on for an hour, come back in an hour, see if the sweet potatoes are cooked. And if you've seen the recipe that we've already done on how to do sweet potatoes in the microwave, you know you just grab yourself a fork or a knife and just kind of stab the sweet potato. If it goes in nice and soft, it's cooked. If it goes in like it would to an apple, it's not cooked. Put it back in the oven for another 10-15 minutes, take it back out and check it. So start with an hour and move up from there. Our sweet potatoes in there good to go. This oven takes me about an hour and 5 minutes to get it done. So we're gonna come back in an hour and 5 minutes and show you what the finished product looks like. Okay guys, so it's been a little over an hour with my cinnamon sweet potatoes in the oven, man. So I'm gonna bust open that oven, give them a check and see if they're cooked. Now, when you're dealing with an oven, man, that oven's been on 220 degrees for over an hour. Make sure you get yourself some good oven mitts, man. I don't want you burning your hands and coming and blaming Massive Joe for your blistered hands that aren't gonna allow you to lift. So put your oven mitts on, let's go. pull those sweet potatoes straight out. Now, if you got yourself a nice marble bench top like this, man, you can put it straight on there. If not, get yourself some sort of cutting board, a wooden cutting board, and put it straight on there. But that's all good for me. Now, be very careful when you open this outfall, because there is going to be a lot of steam come off, a lot of heat come out. By using that outfall, we pretty much created a little oven inside the oven. So just be real careful. Make sure you don't burn yourself, and just peel that back just a little bit. See that steam come off. Now, the best way to test if your sweet potatoes are cooked, to grab yourself a fork, man, and stick that fork straight into the sweet potato. Now, if the fork goes in and comes out without sticking, just like it did then, the sweet potatoes are cooked. If it doesn't go in and out without sticking, and it's kind of like you've stuck a fork into like an apple or a pear, probably chuck the sweet potatoes back in increments of 10 minutes. So chuck it back in for 10 minutes, pull it out, try again with the fork test. If it's still not cooked, back in for another 10 minutes until it's perfectly cooked. My sweet potatoes are pretty much ready to go, so I'm just gonna unroll that other side of outfall as well. Being very careful not to burn myself with the steam that's gonna come off. Now, you know what you have to do at this point, guys. You gotta smell them gains, guys. Those cinnamon sweet potatoes are delicious, man. This is literally, you try one of these sweet potatoes, it's gonna change the way you think about sweet potatoes, man. They're gonna be cinnamony and sweet and delicious and soft and juicy and fantastic and amazing. Now, you can eat them straight up, straight out of the oven like this. They will keep in the fridge for 3 to 4 days generally, if you keep them refrigerated, and then you can use them day by day as you need. Guys, look at that. That is a beautiful cinnamon coated sweet potato. Nothing but gains right there, man. Now look, there's 2 ways you can eat this as well. You can leave the skin on. If you remember when we started with clean sweet potatoes, so you can eat them with the skin on, or you can take the skin off. It's completely up to you. But guys, that is how to cook cinnamon sweet potatoes baked in the oven. Delicious and cinnamon and sweet and just amazing. You know what you gotta do at this point? You gotta hit the subscribe button. You gotta hit this button right here, man. Give that button a whack. Stay up to date with everything that we're doing with MassiveJoes Masterclass, man. Teaching you how to get your gains in the kitchen. And guys, that is MassiveJoes Masterclass on how to cook cinnamon sweet potatoes. And I'm coming to you from MassiveJoes.com.